I hadn't even bothered trying to close my eyes that night. I sluggishly walked over and arrived around 1:30 a.m. to the powwow inside the Ernie Pyle Hall Library. Everyone was tired, but excited. The proof was there in new sweatshirts we ordered for the class. The phrase, "the importance of being earnest," with Pyle's smiling face gleamed from the back. Soon enough, we boarded our bus that was bound for the airport. It began its trek north out of Bloomington, the lights dimmed, and eyes closed. Up near the front where I sat, Bonnie Layton, our instructor, read some of Pyle's war columns under one of those tiny bus lamps as her husband Steve drowsily listened. It felt almost like she was reading a bedtime story. This is the first time I'm going overseas. I've been to Canada twice. I've also flown over the Pacific Ocean to Hawaii. However, I've never gone to Europe or abroad. So I'm not only going to learn all the more about Pyle in World War II, but also receive a brief immersion into European, particularly English and French culture. I smile and chuckle inside, remembering how Bonnie used part of her Thursday class presentation to run some useful French phrases by us. "S'il vous plaît," I jokingly said to a classmate with my hand in a fist, thumb, and pinky extended out in a sipping motion. It was Thirsty Thursday, after all. Jokes aside, that's something totally new for me to see and feel. What should I expect? Having never been to Europe, I'm only left with the stereotypes in popular culture after watching too much Doctor Who or Sherlock. It would make it seem like the English are a chipper and pristine people who really like their tea and fish and chips, and that the French folk are pompous and bitter and can't say no to a croissant. I definitely believe all that is not entirely true and that there's more to these people. Catherine Schultz, one of my fellow classmates, said that every culture has its perks, and every culture has how it's portrayed in popular culture, which may or may not be true. They're pretty much like us. She lived in London this past summer while interning at the Nursing Times. And she also said it's part of being an international society where everyone's so closely intertwined, and that it's incredibly important to connect with them in more than just a superficial way. Certainly, I would think it can't be smooth sailing all the time. Hannah Fleece, who's also a classmate, interned at the Skagway News in southeast Alaska. She recalls having trouble sometimes in exchanging money with Canadians nearby in the Yukon Territory. She said it can be overwhelming, and that if there's a language barrier, like in France, there's a whole different system to their society and a way to do things. Now as I make this conclusion here, I looked out the plane's window into the darkness and saw lights below. I knew we had reached England. I couldn't help but be mesmerized at those lights of what are most likely homes down there. It's like coming back on a flight at night in the US and passing over the suburbs. Except this time there's British people down there. And as I stared down at those little homes, I wondered to myself what they could possibly be doing. And are they watching Netflix? What did they make for dinner? This and more I'm bound to find out. Pip pip and cheerio.